Hello, Life Science class. This is Miss Odell. Wanted to touch base with you on what we're going to be doing right now, and that's reviewing for your quiz for tomorrow. Of course, this is what you need to know. All right, so on page 48, we have several things here that we're going to highlight, and I'm going to do this along with you so that you can see exactly what you need to highlight. All right, so the first thing we need to know is that a DNA molecule, oops, that's not a very good highlighter, is it? Let's try that again. A DNA molecule looks like a twisted ladder. Okay, it's a shape of a double helix, but it looks like a twisted ladder. The next thing that you need to know on this page is... Okay, so the next thing that you need to know is there are four... each nucleotide is made up of 3 parts, all right? So a nucleotide, here we have a nucleotide, and it is made up of a phosphate, a sugar, and a base. So remember that a nucleotide is made up of 3 parts, and those 3 parts are sugar, phosphate, and base. All right. Okay, next. Also on this same page here, it actually is right here. It consists of a phosphate, sugar, and a base. Now, moving on. So the rungs of the DNA, look right here with me, ladders are made up of pairs of bases. Now, it should come at no surprise that a base on one side of the DNA molecule coupled with its partner on the other side. So it forms a base pair. But there are 4 kinds of bases found in DNA. Okay? You don't need to know what they are right now. You just need to know that there are 4 kinds of bases found in DNA. Just the number 4 there. There are 4 kinds of bases found in DNA. All right, now let's move. Okay, so I'm wrong. You do need to know that in a DNA molecule, adenine always pairs with what? Adenine always pairs with thymine. So remember, what pairs together? These 2 always pair together. Thymine pairs with adenine. Think of it as AT. Those 2 go together. Okay? Then you have a G plus C, but this is the one you need to know. All right? Now, okay, so I think that's everything on that page. Let's just make sure we got all this here. You got this one here. DNA molecule looks like a twisted ladder. The nucleotides consist of sugar, phosphate, and base. You also need to know that there are 4 kinds of bases found in DNA, and that 2 of those bases, that thymine will only combine with adenine. Okay, you need to know that. Let's going to move forward on that. If you're on page 48 with me, first thing you need to know here, it's highlighted, and you can follow along with me and make sure that you get that as we go through. Right here, a DNA molecule looks like a twisted ladder. Make sure you highlight that. You need to know that nucleotides have 3 parts, and those 3 parts are a sugar, phosphate, and base. Okay? So highlight this as we go along. You also need to know that there are 4 kinds of bases found in the DNA. Okay, those 4 kinds of bases are guanine, cytosine. You need to know that there are 4 kinds of bases. You need to know the number, and then you also need to know that adenine and thymine are pairs, meaning they can only be paired together. You cannot pair adenine with cytosine or thymine with cytosine. You can only pair adenine and thymine, okay? All right, moving forward. All right, moving forward here, next page, okay? Here on this page, this is what we need to know. Okay, on this page you need to know gene, okay? So each section of a DNA molecule that codes for a unique protein is called a gene. Okay, so that's everything on page 49. That's the only thing you need to know on page 49. All right, go to the next page, which is page 49. And on this page, you need to know, you see what I've highlighted here for you. You need to know that each section of the DNA molecule that codes for a unique protein is called a gene. It's called a gene. Let's go to the next page. Got quite a few things on the next page here. First thing we're going to start with is okay, so here on this page, you need to know the word uracil. In other words, you need to know that the new molecule has a single strand of nucleotides, contains the sugar ribose instead of deoxyribose, and in the place of thymine, it's being replaced with uracil. Okay? So you need to know that word uracil is being replaced, that thymine is being replaced with uracil. Okay? Now, since the RNA will carry its information out of the nucleus, it's called a messenger RNA. You don't need to know that, but I wanted you to know. You need to know. Well, just hold on. All right? Okay, let's move to the next section. Page. There was something that I missed there that we need to know, and that is transcription. Okay? So this process is when ribosines need working copies. Remember we talked about the working copies of the DNA that they are used to make proteins. This process is called transcription. Now, what you need to know here is that during transcription, an enzyme temporarily unzips part of the DNA molecule in order to read a gene. Okay, that's part of the process. Okay, now moving to the next page. What is transcription? What do you need to know about transcription? Well, you will notice that transcription here in this chapter, it talks about that DNA is found in the nucleus of a eukaryotic cell. And you only need to highlight or need to know what I've highlighted. So I'm just reading a little extra here. But remember we talked about the working copies to the construction site of the builder? Well, the ribosines need a working copy, or the working copy that is needed for the DNA. Now, they can use proteins. This process is called transcription. During transcription, an enzyme temporarily unzips part of the DNA molecule in order to read a gene. You also need to know here, I've highlighted that nucleotides contain the sugar ribosine instead of deoxyribosome, and in place of thymine has now became uracil. Remember I told you just a couple minutes ago that adenine and thymine can only be combined together. Well, now in this process, uracil is taking the place of thymine to combine with adenine, okay? So right here is another place you can see it highlighted. Remember, uracil replaces thymine in this RNA process, okay? Only in the RNA process. Okay, moving on, guys, to the last page here, which is translation, okay? Translation is of converting the DNA code into a protein. You also need to know about codons here, okay? So the words of the mRNA are sets of 3 nucleotides in a row called codons, okay? So a group of 3 nucleotides that codes for amino acids are called codon, okay? Remember, they code for amino acids, but they're called codons, okay? You also need to know a protein synthesis. That is a process called protein synthesis, and that's when the amino acids are bonded together in a growing chain. You need to know that as well. Now, I'm thinking there, yep, right here it is. You also need to know that tRNA line up with amino acids in the correct order in order to make codone for the mRNA, okay? Now, that is all that you need to know. Make sure you get this highlighted, and you should be able to use your book on this quiz tomorrow as we work through it. All right, thank you. Have a great day.